this? How do we know it's going to end any differently than it did before?
Because before you didn't have me.
Once upon a time, Disney hit the jackpot with Marvel movies, making tons of cash. But now there's a twist in the story. On November 10th, they released The Marvels, the 33rd movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Well, turns out it only made $46 million in its first weekend, making it the worst start ever for a Marvel movie. The Marvels kind of messed up with just $47 million in the opening weekend. They thought it would make way more, like $75 to $80 million, but those numbers took a nosedive to $60 to $65 million. The Marvels, which comes after the mega-successful Captain Marvel and the hit Disney Plus show Ms. Marvel, is supposed to be the third movie in Phase 5. Now, Phase 5 was all set to roll out with 5 movies and 7 TV shows, but here's the twist: Marvel hasn't been doing as well lately, and Hollywood's labor strikes are messing with their production schedule. Disney's now scratching their heads and rethinking how they're gonna drop these movies and shows. Talk about a plot twist. The Marvels, directed by Nia DaCosta and featuring Larson, Teyonah Parris, and Iman Vellani. It's the sequel to the 2019 blockbuster Captain Marvel, which hit the billion-dollar mark. Now, the new flick didn't even come close to the superheroic $153 million debut of its predecessor. So, what's the deal with Marvel? Is this just a little hiccup, or is there a bigger problem? Let's talk about it. After the release of Endgame, things got a bit rocky for Marvel. First, the COVID-19 pandemic threw a wrench into their plans, and then came a combo of bad reviews, not so hyped up marketing, and maybe a bit too much superhero action saturating the scene. This fall has been a real struggle at the box office. With the usual famous faces not around to pump up the excitement for their big projects, it's been a constant cycle of delayed release dates and not so great earnings. But hey, now that the writers and actors strikes are in the rearview mirror, Hollywood and the theaters are crossing their fingers that things will start looking up, especially as we head into the holiday season. Let's see if the magic comes back to the movies. Disney has been on a character-creating spree with spin-offs, sequels, and TV series, flooding both the big and small screens with new faces. For both the occasional viewer and die-hard Marvel fans, it's a bit of a whirlwind to keep up with. But here's the big question: does this superhero overload mean that society is officially tired of superhero fatigue? Well, not exactly. But the not-so-great response to The Marvels might just make Disney stop and think. It's pretty clear now that audiences aren't jumping at the chance to see just any old superhero movie on the big screen. Time for a bit of a reality check for the House of Mouse. The Marvels seems to be missing the big guns, doesn't it? I mean, who's really familiar with Captain Marvel, Kamala Khan, and Monica compared to the heavyweights like Iron Man, Hulk, and Captain America? Let's be real, they're not exactly the A-listers that can single-handedly pack cinemas with MCU fans. It's a big nope on that front. Looks like Disney might need to rethink their superhero lineup for the next blockbuster hit. It seems like Captain Marvel might be missing that special connection with the audience. Some feel she's not quite hitting the mark because, well, she seems to be the superhero who's always on top, facing no real challenges. It's like she's this powerhouse doing her thing without a care in the world. And you know what? As a woman, you're pointing out something important. It seems like some writers might be giving Captain Marvel this one-dimensional view of female strength, you know, this I don't need anyone, no emotion, no empathy vibe. But real strength is way more than just beating up bad guys without breaking a sweat. It's about compassion, empathy, and being okay with showing vulnerability. Maybe it's time for the writers to give Captain Marvel a bit more depth and reliability. The final reason, according to the experts, is the highly predictable storyline. It seems like we've heard it all before, phrases like, "it's just the beginning," or the classic, "tearing a hole in the space thing," not to mention the old mantra of saving the world from some crazy aliens. In simpler terms, this movie looks like a cliché with subpar graphics and a storyline that's just not cutting it. It seems like they might need a fresh twist to keep us on the edge of our seats.
Congratulations to you, Star Force lady. You're under arrest.